Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Hello class, welcome back with me Rahmi. Today we are going to learn about one of the concept in English grammar is voice. They are active and passive voice. What exactly is voice in grammar? It's not the common definition like the sounds that we can hear, but voice in grammar refers to the form of a verb that shows whether the subject performed the action called active or received the action called passive. Why it matters? It can make your writing clearer and more effective. It helps you choose the right emphasis in different situations, and it's essential for academic and professional communication. Active voice. Active voice is when the subject is performed the action expressed by the verb with the structure subject plus verb plus object. It can use in any tense with the characteristic subject perform the action, direct and clear communication, and generally preferred in most writing. When we can use active voice. When the clarity is crucial for a direct communication, the do is matter, showing responsibility, and writing creatively in stories, essay, or speeches, or giving instruction, step-by-step direction. For example, first, scientists discovered a new planet. We can look at this show that the subject is doing the action. So who did the action is matters. Next, the team won the championship. It can use to celebrate achievement. The next is you should complete your homework. It can use to give a clear instruction. So active voice makes your writing stronger and more engaging because it puts the focus on who is doing the action. It creates energy and clarity in your sentences. Let's move on to the passive voice. Passive voice is when the subject is received the action expressed by the verb. With the structure, is the object become a subject with plus the to be plus past participle or verb 3 plus it's optional plus by plus subject. It can use in any tense in English too, with characteristic subject receive the action, focus on the action or result, not the doer, use forms of to be plus past participle of verb 3. Use passive voice when the action is matters more than who did the action. The doer is unknown or unimportant in writing formally like scientific report or academic papers. Being tactful. It's avoiding a blame or responsibility. The last is creating variety in sentence structures. For examples, my phone was stolen yesterday. It shows that agent is unknown or irrelevant. Next, a letter is written by Maria. The agent is known. We can use by phrase in this sentence. Next, mistakes were made. It's a tactful admission. Next, the law was passed anonymously. It focused on results. The last, the experiment was conducted successfully. It used in scientific report. So, passive voice is shift the focus to what happened, not who did it. It's a tool that serves specific purposes when used intentionally. Okay, now let's move on to the transformation rules. How to change between voices. Let's look at the active become a passive voice with by phrase. The dog chased the cat. So, to make it passive voice, we must take out or identify the verb or the tense in active voice sentences. Because on the active sentence, use a simple past tense. On the passive voice, we must use to be that related to the tense. And the cat is become the subject, and the dog become the object. So the result, the cat was chased by the dog because we want to write it to give or show that the agent or who did the action is shown on the sentences. Next, let's move on to the active become a passive voice without by phrase because we want to write the sentences not show the agent or who did the action. With example, someone stole my bicycle. So the object becomes a subject because stole is the past tense and my bicycle is the singular. We use to be was as and stolen the verb 3 as the sentences. So the result, my bicycle was stolen. Okay, next, let's move on to the passive become active. Look at the passive voice sentences. There are no information or any information about who ate the cake and was eaten, so the previous tense is a past tense, and was, there are was, so the subject is singular. To make it to active voice, we must add the subject is a singular and ate is the verb to for the sentences. So the result, someone ate the cake. Someone is singular, so it's related to the passive voice to become active voice. Okay, next look at some common mistakes students make with a passive voice and how to fix them. To avoid it, the most common mistake first is incorrect passive construction. The book was wrote by her. They are show that wrote is the verb to, so this grammatical wrong. The correct is the book was written by her because the verb tree from the right words is written. Next, overusing passive voice. The decision was made by the committee after the proposal was reviewed by the team. It's doubled passive voice. So the better to write it, the committee made the decision after the team reviewed the proposal. Next, the wrong common is forgetting optional by phrase. Remember, you can omit by plus agent when the door is unknown or irrelevant. So the rule of thumb is use active voice 80% of the time, passive only when it serves a specific purposes. Okay, now let's move on to the real-world application and summary. Where you will use this in a science class, for example, the solution was heated to 100 Celsius. It will use a passive voice, so focus on the procedure, not who did the action. The next is English essay. For the example, Shakespeare word display. It used active voice because they are focused on who did the action. Next is future work class. For example, the report must be submitted by Friday. So it's a passive voice focused on the required action, not who should do it, or not the who do the action. And other example in real life is on the news reporting. For example, the suspect was arrested last night. So it used a passive voice focused on the important event, not which officer or someone made the action. So in conclusion, active voice is the subject plus verb plus object. It's show that clear and direct communication. On the passive voice, object plus to be plus past participle of verb to, and the optional by plus agent. It can use in any tense in English. To use active voice for most writing, it's stronger and clearer. Use passive voice when the action or the result matters more than who did the action. By plus agent is optional in passive voice, omit when appropriate. To be a greater writers, don't just know about grammar rules, but we must know when to use them. That's all for me. Thank you for your attention. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.